Hey everybody, I'm Mayor Tim Baldermann from the Village of Lenox, and this is one of our Deputy Police Chiefs, Tim Perry. We're here making this video today because there's been a lot of concern nationally about flock cameras and the flock camera system and whether or not there's an invasion on people's privacy. So we're going to talk about the benefits that we've seen from the flock cameras here in New Lenox and some of the concerns, legitimate concerns that people have. So Tim, thanks for joining me. Let's get started right away. Let's talk about how, as a law enforcement tool, flock cameras have been beneficial to us here at the New Lenox Police Department. How many flock cameras do we have in our jurisdiction?
We currently have 22.
22 flock cameras. But you work with other jurisdictions to be able to get information from them on their systems, and they get that from us as well, correct?
That's correct.
All right, perfect. All right, so we've got 22 cameras here in New Lenox. Since January of this year, and we've had the system for a few years now, but since January of this year through July, I have here, you've provided some information that we've had 80 total incidents. Is that 80 total incidents where we've used flock?
Yes.
Okay. From those 80 incidents, how many people were arrested because of either exclusively because of the information that we got from flock, or because it provided enough evidence for us to get charges brought against people?
There's 32 arrests made.
So 32 arrests have been made. Now I see you also have, you've got some pending warrants that we're getting warrants issued for people because of the information from flock?
Yeah, an additional 4 more cases we are awaiting charges on.
Okay, when you talk about 15 persons identified, what does that mean?
Well, that varies on the situation. Sometimes it's a suspicious person that somebody called that was concerned. We were able to identify who that was, locate them, and then resolve the situation. It might not be a criminal incident, but it's still resolved, and then our citizens are satisfied with the outcome. Also is sometimes we have hit and run incidents where we can identify the driver, and we'll just do an insurance exchange and make sure that the victim of the other party of the accident is getting compensated.
All right, so you don't really identify the driver, but you're able to identify the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And then through the license plate reader, be able to tell whose car it was.
Yeah, and then through further investigation, we figure out who's driving.
Right. Now, I also see you've got missing persons and stolen vehicles where you've used the flock system. How does that work?
Well, first, missing persons and stolen vehicles, that information is entered into NCIC, which is a national database. The license plate reader can detect the plate, and it does a quick check to see if any of those alerts come up. So we will be alerted if a stolen vehicle passes one of those cameras or a missing person, and then we can help recover the vehicle or the person.
That's good. So we do have, it might be an Alzheimer patient that's walked away or driven away or is lost or whatever, and you're able to identify them that
That's
way.
exactly right.
All right, that's perfect. Okay, so 70% of the cases where flock was used have resulted in arrests or in locating somebody that's missing. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So it's been a highly effective tool for law enforcement. That's great. Now, we're only talking about this year, and we don't have a lot of violent crime here, but when we do, this police department's been phenomenal at resolving the crime, at apprehending the offender and solving the crime. We've had, unfortunately, some vehicular hijackings, home invasions, and some robberies. And statistically here, you're talking about over the last couple of years, how many has flock been involved in successfully arresting those cases?
So it was involved in 2 vehicular hijackings that we resolved that led to arrest, 1 home invasion, and 5 robberies.
So without the flock camera system, do you feel confident? I mean, as great of a job as our department does, do you feel confident that we would have had enough information to clear those cases? Or even if we kind of knew who it was, would we have had enough evidence without that flock system to necessarily successfully arrest and prosecute?
In some cases, no. In some cases, it's been a major piece of evidence that helped put somebody at the location of the crime.
Right.
And most other incidents, it's just a piece of evidence that helps us, and it helps us in a much quicker fashion than other evidence would.
Okay, and that's good, because if someone's out there committing violent crimes, we want to get it resolved as quickly as possible. All right, so it's clearly been a very effective tool for law enforcement.
Yes.
All right, there are concerns that people have brought up, and again, this isn't a new Lenox issue, this is a national issue. This is going maybe international, I don't know if the system's in other countries, but I'm sure something like it is. And a lot of the concerns that I've heard, I think, are very valid. And that's really the purpose of why we're doing this informational video for our people today, because I've had residents reaching out from me saying, hey, what are you going to do about flock cameras? Should they be gone? As a matter of fact, it's become part of the governor's race as to whether or not flock cameras should be banned. So let's talk about some of those concerns. One of the ones that was actually sent to me today is that flock cameras live stream, and that the claim, I don't know if it's true or not, but the claim is that hackers have been able to hack into the live stream and put it on YouTube. Now, does Flock have a system that has live streaming?
It does.
Okay, so I think we've all been around long enough to know the hackers can get into anything. So whether that is true or not, I would suspect that probably somebody could hack into that system, most likely. But here in New Lenox, we don't have live stream cameras, do we?
No, we do not.
All right, so the Flock has live streaming cameras, and then they have the cameras that we have, which do what?
The cameras that we have only take pictures of vehicles that are driving on public roadways. It just captures the license plate, the characteristics of the vehicle, and the make and model.
Okay, does it have any facial recognition software?
No.
It does not.
It does not.
So it cannot identify somebody in a vehicle. It just identifies the vehicle itself, either through the license plates, the make, the model, or perhaps some other characteristics. Now that includes what? Like what kind of characteristics can you enter into the system that it can identify?
Well, color, body type, and then whether there's a trailer attached or if the car has bumper stickers affixed to it.
Okay, what if it had front end damage or rear end damage or something like that? Can it pick up that kind of characteristic or no?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you'll be able to see that on the photo, but it won't.
But you can't enter in, show me every car that had front end damage to it or something.
No.
Okay. But you can say, show me, if you put in show me every car that had a red bumper sticker on the back, that you can identify, or will it not be that specific? It'll just give you bumper stickers.
It's not that specific. It's just bumper stickers.
So if you said between 1 p.m. and 1:30 p.m. at Route 30 in the schoolhouse, you would have to filter through a lot of cars to try and identify your car. It wouldn't tell you couldn't do it by a specific bumper sticker. Just any car that had a bumper sticker that went through, it would send to you, and you'd have to review.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. Privacy concerns. People say, hey, this is Big Brother keeping an eye on us. And the reality is, in my opinion, Big Brother does exist. Whether it's government, whether it's private businesses or whatnot, and not with these systems, but our facial recognition our faces are being seen and recorded. Our whereabouts, our travel through phones is being identified. Our computers, even our televisions, what we're watching, what we're doing, all of that stuff is being tracked by somebody somewhere. And everyone knows that. But what they talk about, and I thought is a fair comment, is yes, with the telephone right now, the police have used people's telephones to solve a tremendous number of crimes, correct?
Yeah.
To put somebody at the scene or where they were by pinging the phone and all that other. However, it requires a warrant for you to get telephone information, correct?
Yes.
There is no warrant that's required for the police to enter in something into the Flock system to see if a vehicle's traveled through their town, correct?
That's correct.
What is the difference? What would you say to somebody that says, I don't care, you need a warrant to access my phone information? What gives you the right to do a warrantless search with the Flock camera?
Well, whenever we're talking about warrants and the Fourth Amendment, the thing to look at is it reasonable, and is it an intrusion? in their privacy, an invasion of their privacy. So sharing all your data with a third-party company like your cell phone or Meta or TikTok or Google, that's an agreement that you undertake with that company to share it, and they hold it. The government would need a warrant to ask that company to produce that information. There's no expectation of privacy for driving on a public road. There's case law that has long been established that officers can view and check registrations on a public road, and these license plate reader cameras only assist us in doing that.
Okay, so whether or not the live streaming is in this category or what should be in the warrant category, we don't have that here in New Lenox. We only have the license plate reader cameras, the flock cameras.
Correct.
But they do, the live streaming does exist in other places. But the difference you're saying is there is no expectation of privacy out in the public. There is an expectation of privacy with your cell phone or anyone that you're entering into a third-party agreement.
Yes.
All right, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So, and we've even seen that like with these First Amendment auditors that go out and are recording people as they walk into public places, the post office, to whatever. People don't like it. They say, hey, you can't record me without my permission. But the reality is they can.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a violation of our Constitution. If you're in public, you have zero expectation of privacy. It even goes back to the old days of the police department. You throw something in your trash and you put it out at the curb, your expectation of privacy is different than if it's still within your home.
Right.
So, okay, all right, so that kind of addresses that. Another one is officer abuse. Now, I've been out of law enforcement for 16 years, but I did 22 years there. And for 50 years, we've had, the lead system or wherever where officers can enter in for information and run someone's driver's license, run their name. There's been CQHs and CQRs where you can run criminal histories on people, a police officer can. And there have been multitude of examples throughout the country of where a rogue officer abused those systems. So a bad police officer abusing the system is nothing new, correct?
Yes,
I mean,
unfortunately.
and it's not an everyday occurrence. And in those cases, they're still pretty easy to track if you wanted to, but Flock has another level of security, correct? So in order for an officer to go into the Flock system, let's say they wanted to check where their spouse was, or they want to check where someone they didn't like was, what do they have to do in order to get that information from Flock?
Well, first and foremost, they need permissions from us to be able to access the system in the first place. Then every search that's conducted requires the offense, the reason for the search, and our internal case or incident number.
So if you don't put in a report number that's tied to a particular case, Flock will not provide any information.
Correct.
Okay, but there's always ways around that. So there have already been instances where officers have been caught abusing the system.
Mm-hmm.
How confident do you feel about the safeguards and the policies that we have in place here with our officers?
We have a very strong policy that governs the use of LPRs and information. It's been used as a template for other agencies as well. So I'm very confident that our policy is right where it needs to be. Flock also logs every single search. So even if somebody is typing false information in those required fields, we still have a record of it. We can still look and see if that plate had anything to do with that particular case that they cited, or if they used a real case number. And we can do audits. Flock has built a lot of tools to help us audit the searches and make sure that they're legitimate.
So if a particular individual felt like a particular officer was abusing the system, it would be very easy for you to investigate to determine if that happened or not.
Absolutely.
There's no way to hide that.
No.
Okay. So they can't just go into someone else's computer and do something. It's very evident who entered it and why they entered it.
Yeah. In order to log in, they're following two-factor authentication, which is the FBI criminal justice information security standard to use to access private information.
Okay.
And that's in place, and it would be nearly impossible for someone else to log in on someone else's credentials.
All right. I don't know if this is a fair question or not, but to the best of your ability, if you can remove yourself from your role and understanding enough about technology as a private citizen, one who loves the Constitution and wants to protect their own personal rights, do you feel that the potential pitfalls of the flock system should deter us from using it as a law enforcement tool?
I don't think so. Although I fully understand the concerns, and there are incidents of officer abuses. There are plenty of tools and the ability to keep checks and balances on that. All the cases that I've heard of involving officer abuse, those officers were disciplined up to termination, sometimes charged criminally. It would be the same here.
Yeah.
And I feel confident that law enforcement can, on the whole, use the tool for the benefit of our communities.
Yeah, and when you talk about hearing about incidents of abuses, you're not talking about here, you're just talking about in general.
In general.
When you've heard about that. All right, is there anything else that you want to add that you think is important for the people to hear about this flock system?
No.
Or you think you covered it? I think you've done a great job of that as well. As the mayor, here's what I say. First of all, Tim, thank you. I appreciate what you and our department do. We have an amazing police department, a very professional police department. And we live in a community that's safe, but we live in a community that, number one, does support our police, but number two, wants to feel safe and secure. I will tell you, and I've said this many, many times, I'm very frustrated with Illinois when it comes to its leniency on crime. Most of the time when we see crime, especially any violent crime, it is by repeat offenders, career criminals that should be behind bars, but they're not because of a very lax and lenient criminal justice system, especially in Cook County, which borders us. And most of our crimes that we see being committed of that nature are criminals coming from Cook County out to Will County. So I don't want to do anything to hinder the police from being able to use every tool possible to keeping our residents safe. However, I do understand the concerns, and this is something that needs a little more conversation. I would say right now we've seen the benefits certainly outweigh any of the negatives that exist, but we want to continue to have this conversation. It is easy to say that Big Brother exists because it does. We could get rid of the flock cameras, and although the ones that we have don't do the live streaming or anything, we could get rid of the flock cameras, but I don't know that we've done anything to keep our people more secure from their information being taken by the government or by third parties just by removing those cameras. But I think we would really hurt our law enforcement ability to be able to apprehend these criminals when this happens. And also, one of the things we didn't touch on is the police department is notified if a vehicle that's entered into the system is stolen, passes through our community. We're notified in real time that a stolen vehicle is here, or a vehicle with stolen plates or something is here. Mm-hmm. So we use that as a tool as well. I wouldn't say that makes this as an open and shut case, but you can see the value of this system, especially the one that we have here right now. As the mayor, I have absolutely no desire to see us move to a live streaming camera system. And I would also say that we will keep an open mind on this and continue to communicate with our public and work with the police department so we can keep our town safe, but also protect the liberties of our people. Tim, again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for everything our amazing police department does. And to all of you out there who have engaged with us on this, thank you for being involved. We've got an amazing town, and we look forward to continuing the conversation.